Hello and welcome back to the Fit 40 podcast, where we simplify exercise and nutrition for busy parents 40 plus so they can improve their health and feel amazing. I'm your host, Brian Fitzsimmons, certified personal trainer and nutrition coach for people over 40 since 2015. And today we have another awesome topic on deck. We're going to be talking about my client, Amy, and how she gained 15 pounds and why that is an awesome thing. I know it sounds a little counterintuitive since most people are trying to lose, but hear me out. We're going to talk all about it. But before we do, if you're new here and you haven't already, go ahead and hit that follow or subscribe button so that way you don't miss another episode, because I'm putting out content like this every single week and you definitely don't want to miss it coming up, because I got a lot of good stuff lined up. Got some awesome guests who have confirmed and I'm really pumped to get them on and all that other stuff as well. So go ahead, click that button. I'll wait. Okay, now we can get into it. All right, now how and why Amy gained 15 pounds. All right, so let's start off with the fact that weight gain is not always bad. Okay. We're in a diet culture right now where it's like lose, 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 smaller, smaller, smaller. And luckily, recently, that's starting to shift a little bit. And we're starting to realize the value of not just being small, but being fit. And that doesn't always mean getting smaller. Some people need to gain more muscle and they need to gain more weight. So weight gain is not always bad. Let's wrap our heads around that. Even if you think, oh, I need to lose X amount of weight, I will bet that you would benefit from gaining a few pounds of muscle. So, and honestly, you'll be able to lose more weight in the long run, gaining that muscle, just saying. But before I get ahead of myself, okay, let's talk about what happened. Okay. When my client, Amy, went into December, because we're in January now as I'm recording this, just in case you're catching it later. In December, it was like, let's just hold on. Let's maintain, let's do our best during the holidays to not go crazy, to not drink too much, not eat too much, like indulge a little bit, but not go completely off the rails. That was the goal. And what ended up happening was we gained 15 pounds, but measurements stayed the same. Okay. So we didn't gain any inches in the waist or the hips or the neck. So what is that weight? Probably muscle. Okay. It honestly, I take that back. We only measured the waist because the hips most likely would increase when that muscle gets added on, because glutes and thighs always, always, always end up growing when we're in a muscle building phase or when we gain any bit of muscle intentionally or unintentionally, because when we're doing squats, RDLs, glute bridges, that stuff will accumulate more muscle, which is great. It's awesome, especially if we're trying to build muscle around the hip area to reduce things like fall risk and other things like that. So when we do that, we want to make sure that our waist measurement stays the same, because that area is usually first on, last off. So if we are not putting anything on first on, like it should accumulate there, then we can assume muscle has been built, which is always awesome. Okay. That being said, it probably wasn't 15 pounds of muscle. Okay. When this stuff happens, when we go on holidays or travel somewhere or anything out of our normal routine, usually we retain a little bit of water, and that's okay, because that will fluctuate and that's going to level out. Because once you get back into your routine, I'm sure you've seen this when you come back from a vacation or you have a weekend trip somewhere and you weigh in on Monday and you're like, whoa, that's a lot. And then by Friday, it all comes off. You're like, oh, okay, that was probably water. And if you haven't done that already, do it, because we're always so good at being like, oh God, what's the damage? And then we never follow up. We never see, oh, what is my body doing? That's why like something like daily weigh-ins does have a lot of value, because you see day to day how your body is different. It's not, oh, I gained 5 pounds overnight, because that does not happen. All right. Another thing that happens too is glycogen storage. So when you eat carbohydrates and you store those carbohydrates, it's not all fat, counterintuitive to or contrary to what you hear on social media where they're like, oh, sugar's immediately fat. It's like, no, it goes through a process and it gets stored in certain places before it goes to fat. Okay, so one of the big spots is your muscles. So when you eat carbohydrates, it'll break down into glycogen, which gets stored in the muscle so that you can use it during workouts. So with that, it also binds to water. So you have not just the glycogen, but you also have the water causing extra weight being held in the muscle. Now that's good weight. We want that because we can use it for fuel. But something to keep in mind so you're not freaking out saying, oh, I gained so much weight. Okay. Next is inflammation. Okay. If you have inflammation, it will increase. Like, it's at the end of the day, inflammation is fluid. Okay. It will be like water retention. Okay. You might feel a, a little bit sore or just a little bit off if you're having like a ton of sodium. Or another really common cause of inflammation is a really hard workout because of the soreness and the recovery process. And that stuff adds weight, but it levels out. It's not fat. It's just something that happens that your body does as a response, and it levels out. And then maybe a little bit of that 15 pounds was a little bit of holiday weight. Maybe there's some fat that was accumulated, but it's so little that we can't even identify it. So it's really not the end of the world. And if we ever did want to trim that off, that's probably like a week or two of a deficit. It's not that big of a deal. And if you're thinking, oh God, I have to diet for a week or two, you're not dieting properly. It shouldn't be that much of a concern. Uh, Next is the fact that it probably was closer to like 10-ish pounds, maybe even less than that. Because on top of that, another thing to keep in mind is maybe there's like some undigested food. That's why, or like your colon is full of poo. Okay. This stuff all is weight. And that's why I tell people that I'm working with, when you are going to weigh in, it really does help to do it first thing in the morning, empty stomach, empty bladder, and ideally empty colon before you shower, because when you shower, your body's going to hold on to some of that water, before drinking anything and before eating anything. That's the closest thing you get to a very, very accurate weigh-in. So chances are it was nowhere near that 15 pounds, probably about half that. Okay. And the reason that we want to, I really want to hammer this home. The reason that I say all of this is because it's not that. Okay. It's not. And especially if you're in this menopause area of life where either you're in perimenopause and you're in that transition phase, or you're post-menopause and you've already gone through it, what ends up happening during that section of life is that our hormones start to shift a little bit. You produce less estrogen, and that ratio of estrogen to testosterone shifts, which results in body fat shifting where it's stored. So ladies usually store a lot of body fat in the thighs and the butt, but then through that menopause transition, it starts shifting towards that midsection, which is why that waist measurement is so damn helpful. Because if you're in that area of life where it's supposed to be put on there and you're not, you're like, this is awesome. I'm not putting on body fat. This is great. So it's just something to keep your head on straight and help you through this whole process. Because at the end of the day, that's really what it's all about. How long can you keep your head on straight to get the result that you want to get? And how much can you enjoy it? Because now you don't have that stressor. Now you don't have that weight on your mind saying, you gained a little too much. You gained a little too much. And it's like, no, I didn't gain any fat. I just gained a bunch of muscle, which is a good thing. So what am I stressing over? So if you want to try and logic yourself out of it, it's super duper helpful. So the end result really ends up being not, oh, I got all this fat. It's no, now I'm stronger, which is awesome. I have more energy because I'm able to do things with more ease. That certain daily tasks just are not as hard. Okay, you have stronger joints. Amy in particular, she's had a knee issue for as long as I've known her. And I used to train her back at my old gym where I was there for 7 years. And then I've been with her solo for like 3 or 4. So as long as I've known her, she has had a knee issue. And when we do these things, all of a sudden her knee pain starts to get better. And honestly, I can't even remember the last time we even talked about her knee. So she's in a much better place when it comes to that. Metabolically, in a much healthier place, just overall feeling a million times better when we got our nutrition on track and when we started doing certain things a little bit differently. And then on top of that, she's able to keep her results because she's burning more calories at rest. Like, it's so much easier if she does decide to go have a drink when she visits her kids at college, or when has them home and they're doing some holiday stuff and they have like a little bit extra food. All this stuff doesn't really put a dent in it. Like, it doesn't really add anything to the scale in a bad way, because it's all going towards muscle, because she's exercising properly and she's driving that muscular response, where it's like, as long as you keep the workouts going, that's the key thing. Because that's probably the big thing I forgot to include, which is the stimulus side of things, the workouts. As long as you stay active in some way, shape, or form, you're good, or at least maintain. And to maintain is so easy when you are building muscle, or compared to when you're building, because building muscle, we talked about it in the most recent episode, it's a handful of sets per week. When you are maintaining, you only need about a third of that. So, like, let's take last episode, for example, that muscle building uh, protocol where there were certain studies that suggested you could get muscle from doing one hard set 3 times a week. If you're doing a third of that, that's one hard set 1 time a week. So if you could get one workout in where you do one set where it's hard enough to remind your body, hey, you still got to stay strong enough for this, then you can maintain that through really busy seasons of life. And it can make it's so much easier when the dust settles, when everything clears up and you're like, okay, now I can devote more time to my fitness. Then you're not starting 10 steps backward. You're starting from where you left off. Okay. It's not square one over and over and over again, like so many people end up falling into. It's no, I hit the pause button. I didn't go backwards. I didn't hit the rewind. I pressed pause and I maintained. Now it's time to hit the fast forward button. So it just makes everything a lot easier on that front. So that all being said, I wish this for every single person listening right now. Just for one, let's get really comfortable with weight gain being a good thing. As long as we're driving that stimulus towards muscle growth and we're not being sedentary and we're not just accumulating mass, as Mac from Always Sunny from in Philadelphia would say. We're not acquiring just mass, we're acquiring muscle. And then also, I hope that just in general, from that muscle, you feel like $1,000,000 because it's one of those things that just makes life so much more enjoyable and so, so much better. Now, with that being said, Amy is a client and she has mastered these concepts because we've taken our time and we've done this the right way. We're not hopping on fad diets. We're not changing our protocols. We're not changing our plan every 5 minutes because we saw this new thing on social media, which is what having a coach helps with a lot, is just kind of keeping you where you need to be to see the results that you want. So if you want to see awesome results and you want somebody on your side to help guide you along the way, that's what I'm here for. If you want to see what it's all about, go in the show notes or the description wherever you're watching or listening and click that discovery call link. 10 minutes, you and me hop on the phone, see what it's all about, see if it's right for you before you commit to anything. Okay, totally free. So take advantage of that. Or if you haven't already, grab your Fit 40 starter kit. It's got workouts, it's got recipes, it's got nutrition guides, it's got a 7-day reset calendar, which is awesome. Go ahead, take a look. You won't regret it. And yeah, that's it for this week. I hope you learned a thing or two. If you found something super helpful and that one person really popped into your head where you're like, damn, they really need to hear this, go ahead and send it their way. They will thank you. And so will I. All right, I'll see you next time. But until then, go kick some ass. Bye-bye.